Welcome back to the Human Bean Juice. My name is Turtle, and today we are playing a little bit of a game called Jet Grind Radio. Most of you kids nowadays might know it as Jet Set Radio. That was actually the original Japanese title. In America, they marketed it as Jet Grind Radio. This is the HD version that I got off Xbox. But I remember playing this on the Dreamcast when it first came out. It was possibly one of my favorite games of the Dreamcast era. And I like the fact that they still put up the graffiti is evil, it's a terrible sign, and don't do it, this is just a game type of thing. But it's really cool. The one thing I noticed immediately off this is the HD up-res that they did to this game is phenomenal. They did a really, really good job. And so kudos to, I believe it was Blitz or Bits, whatever the hell they're called. But the purpose of this video is pretty much for me to annoy the living hell out of you. There's no really agenda other than I just want to play this game and then do something with the footage. Hey, look at that. I unlocked an achievement. Feel the beat. The one thing that really pisses me off about this game, this HD remake, is they redid the voice of Professor K the DJ. It is so upsetting because the original guy was really loud and boisterous, and he'd be like, I don't know, I'm going to do the worst impression of this guy ever, but it'd be something like, Jet Set Radio! And it'd get like really crazy and it'd get silly, and whoever they got to do this is trying to do a parody version of that original voice, which is really, really upsetting. But I wish there was visuals on this game, not the visuals you're looking at right now, because I'm in an office right now and I'm with two really rad dudes. We have BRKS Edu. I got it right. I don't speak Portuguese, so forgive me. And we have the Space Monkey Tube, also known as Macaco. Uncle Macaco over here.
Space Monkey, yeah. Woohoo! I'm going.
These gentlemen have been kind enough to kind of crash my little party over here. Well, you're keeping me company is what you're doing. It's times like this where I do wish I had like a separate camera to do stuff, but you know what, who cares? Screw them. They could be left to their imagination. BRKS Adu has no pants on, Macaco's touching himself, it's all kinds of awkward. And if you guys don't know them, definitely check out their channels. You have youtube.com/thespacemonkeytube.
Yeah.
And youtube.com/brksedu. EDU. Yeah. Not adu, not I bid you adieu, it's edu. EDU. Don't fuck that up.
Thank you.
You're no worries, thank you guys. But in this video, this is like the most frustrating part of this entire game is the stupid ass tutorial that you had to do. I always failed miserably on the Dreamcast version, and I always blamed, and maybe you guys can correct me, were the analog sticks on the original Shark Pad, also known as the Dreamcast controller, always broken on certain games? Like it just never reacted properly? Okay. Yeah. Dude's over here nodding his head. They can't see that.
No, he was taking his pants off.
He was putting them on, and you kind of wrestled them back off. It's a no pants kind of party in this place.
Yeah.
That's what we do here on the Human Bean Juice. And for those of you guys who don't know about Human Bean Juice, I'm not going to explain it again. Just go read The Watchmen. Alan Moore needs your money. Not really, but he wants your money, and he worships dragons, so you can't really go wrong. Did you guys know that I've interviewed Alan Moore?
Who?
Did you just say who?
Yeah.
Alan Moore is a comic book writer. He's known for writing The Watchmen. He's known for writing From Hell. He's known from watching The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Him and his wife wrote a book together called The Lost Girls. He's probably one of the best comic book writers in the history of comic books, in my personal opinion. Yeah, like he's fucking phenomenal. The problem with him, though, is he's such a recluse, he doesn't leave his house. And if he does, it's like to go get milk and then he comes back. But he has his own religion where he worships a dragon. Mm-hmm. Like he's nuts. He's crazy. Lack of a better word, he's crazy. And he was promoting The Lost Girls, which is his very super sexualized take on these Disney female characters that him and his wife did. His wife did all the artwork. He wrote the stories, and it takes place in like Nazi-occupied Poland I'm probably going to butcher this because I'm an idiot and I'm a dumb American, in Warsaw. So it's this really cool, like these women are trapped in this kind of hotel, and they're outliving their fantasies and telling each other their sexual fantasies and desires while World War II and, Nazi Germany is taking over Poland. It's this crazy weird story, but that's Alan Moore for you. And I had the opportunity with a company I worked for to interview him. And he doesn't really do interviews, and he doesn't leave his house, so it was a phone interview. So I'm interviewing him, and everyone's like, oh, he's an asshole. He's the worst person in the world. You're going to have a shit time dealing with him. I'm like, dude, I love Alan Moore, but I don't want to think about that. He was the nicest guy in the history of nicest guys. Because I told him, I was like, yeah, he's from Birmingham, England. And I was like, how's the weather out there? Is it raining? He's like, oh, it's not bad. It's kind of cold. And he just like had this really soft-spoken voice. I'm like, this is the guy who wrote the fucking Watchmen. This is Alan Moore. And we were talking about the weather. I wish I had something better to talk about. It was kind of fucked up. But that's my Alan Moore story. I've definitely I've been very privileged in meeting certain people. If any of you are Kevin Smith fans out there, I got to hang out with the Clerks guys, Dante and Randall. That was really fun. They autographed my script, which was really cool. But enough name dropping, because we all know Brian O'Halloran's the number one successful person out there in the world. I want to continue doing more of these sort of commentaries, for lack of a better description, with games like Jet Grind Radio, Jet Set Radio. Hey, gamer picture unlocked. What? Look at that. It says so. It says so right there on the bottom. But I love games like this because they bring up so many memories. Like, I remember just being this kid living in my basement. I grew up in Colorado, so we had basements out there, tornadoes and shit. And just playing this game to no end and being so frustrated on certain levels and trying to get the little floaty speaker icons to unlock new graffiti. And just dealing with stupid shit. And I remember specifically these levels, these tutorials, because they're the easiest things in the world. But yet, because of the way the gamepad, the Dreamcast controller was, it made things extra hard. You try to jump, the button would never jump, so you'd fucking fall down and fail the tutorial. And you're like, well, I feel like an idiot. You feel like a moron because you just completely ruined the tutorial. And this is a specific one. You have to grab onto the car and ride the car backwards. Or from behind, and take it to a certain distance. Well, I remember specifically, I have an elephantine-like memory, so keep that in mind, kids. I remember everything. I remember always getting hit by the car, never being able to latch on. Finally, when I did, I would take it too far, and it'd end the tutorial. So I'm like, well, how far is enough? So I had to remember exactly where it was, and I remember the first time I first played this on the HD remake, which is what you're seeing right now, without fail. I remember the stop. I remember where to go. I remember where the car pattern was. And, you're going to see me fail because, cars hit you. You're fucking rollerblading in the middle of the street. A busy Japanese street at that. But I remember exactly where everything was and, what you had to do. And then even remember later when you actually unlock these levels, the places you could go, the places you couldn't go, the different tags you could do. And it just brought back such an amazing nostalgic feeling. Now, there's a few other games that I want to do that with. Not going to say names right now, but you'll eventually see them, hopefully here on the channel. But there's something about nostalgia and video games. Now, I know I had a conversation with BRKS Adu about classic Sony Nintendo games and finding ways to capture those old school games because you can bring back so many memories. One of my favorite fucking games of all time is a game that not many people, it's not a typical The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. That is a classic game. That is a game that millions upon millions of people love. They can't get enough of. It's fantastic. How many of you guys out there remember ActRaiser? Anybody? ActRaiser was so fucking badass because because you had a SimCity type thing. You had to build this little city, and then all of a sudden these demons would take over an area you built, and you'd have to go in and fight. So it was this side-scrolling badass kick some ass type RPG mixed with a SimCity type thing. You had the little angel floating around and help you oh no, my son's stuck in the marsh. And you're like, oh, let me clear out the marsh, and then go in there, kick some ass. It was so awesome. And in the end, you had to fight this crazy Zeus-like deity that had the galaxy be in the background, spinning like a madman, like your drunk girlfriend on a hot Friday night, spinning around. It was just one of the coolest things. Not many people remember that game, and it's so upsetting because it's such a classic, amazing game. Or how many I'll even get even better. This is a semi-obscure title. It might be popular amongst a lot of you, but how many people remember the last time they played Paperboy? Yeah, Paperboy.
I remember Paperboy.
Paperboy is so much fun, but it's not. Everyone's like, well, what about Mario? Of course Mario's popular. Of course it's popular. Anybody who grew up amongst our generation, and us, I mean old people. I'm old, by the way. I'm talking about this stuff, I date myself. games like Mario, games like, I would even say stuff like Sonic, like those are classic games that will always forever live on in the world of video gaming. I want to get into the nitty gritty of like how many people remember checking out the old Friday the 13th game, Nightmare on Elm Street game. The Nightmare on Elm Street game was awful. That game was so terrible. I couldn't stop fucking playing it because I loved it so much. You know, there's a lot of those titles out there that are like that. Or what was the other? There was it wasn't Bushwick Bill, because that's a really shitty hip-hop artist or rapper. But it was like Bushwhacker McGraw. It was like this crazy swamp game that was on the original Nintendo. Crazy stuff like that. And then even getting into like the weird, obscure like peripherals. Oh yeah, Avatar unlocked new music. Gotta get the jams. Oh, I can't stand what they did. Yeah, I got another achievement. We got us a crew, because I got Tab and Gum on my side, fool. The crazy guy with the bug eyes was always my favorite character in here. I can't remember his name right now, but I'll eventually unlock it, and you'll see. But getting back into like the nostalgia of gaming, it really, for me, it brings up one of two things. One, the good side of things. And two, how much time I really spent on playing video games. I remember, this is actually a quick little story that I'll keep, you know, this is announced to the world now, so it's not so much of a secret. But I remember one day, me and my friends ditched school. Yeah, I did it. I'm a bad kid. What can I say? Deal with it. We were ditching school, and one of our neighborhood kids, who I guess considered me a friend, I knew he was in my class. I won't say he was an enemy. I wouldn't say he was a friend, but he's some dude in my class. Asked if he could leave his bike at my house, and he did this every day. So I was like, dude, just leave it in there. Leave it in my garage. One day we were ditching, and one of my friends was like, hey man, I heard so-and-so's bike is in your garage. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna go piss all over it. It's like, okay. Like, why would you want to do that? He's like, I don't know, because I don't like him. Like, all right, well, it's in the garage. Go for it. And we all thought we were laughing, like, haha, you're gonna go pee on his bike. We didn't think he was really gonna do it. We really didn't. So he goes, opens the garage, and just starts pissing all over this kid's bike. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? So my other friend was like, well, if he's gonna pee on it, I'm gonna pee on it. And it's like, dude, what the fuck is, like, why are you peeing on this dude's bike? So everybody, except for me, peed on this poor guy's bike. But that's not where it ended. You would think like, aha, we got our laughs. You obviously have to take it to one step further. My friend was like, wouldn't it be funny if somebody just put shit all over his bike? Oh, I'm getting really gross and dirty. I really am. So we're like, it'd be funny. You should go find some dog poop and put it all over his bike. He's like, no, I'm gonna go shit in your garage and put it on his bike. Like, you're crazy. What does he do? He goes to my garage and takes a shit in my garage and starts smearing it all over this dude's bike. That's where we were like, dude, I'm not gonna shit on his bike. Like, this got weird. School ends. We completely forgot that he did this. So this happened in like the afternoon. This was later in the evening, like around 4 o'clock. He comes and the kid goes and gets his bike, and we're like, oh shit, he's here. And we're all like peeking through our blinds, you know, my mom, like the curtains, to see him. And he grabs his bike and he starts walking. He doesn't get on it, and he kind of pauses and he looks at his hands and he's like, and has this reaction that is so ingrained in my memory. It's so burned in my fucking head that like he's just like, whoa, and looks down at the bike and just sees that it's covered in shit. Keep in mind, I don't condone this for anybody. Don't do this, kids, please, because this is the worst thing you could possibly do in life, is shit on someone else's bike. But his reaction was so priceless. It was so good that we were like, don't fucking laugh, he's gonna hear us. He had to walk his bike all the way home. He lived like 5 miles away, which is not that's like a good 1.5 to 2 hour walk. Had to walk his bike home. I got a phone call later on that day where he was like, hey man, I don't know if you knew of anybody messing around your house, but somebody put dog shit all over my bike. And it was on an answering machine, so me and my friends were fucking laughing. Yes, I'm a horrible person. I'll state that right now. I'm a horrible person. Laughing because the way he was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna put my bike in your garage anymore. And the whole time, probably to this day, he still thinks somebody put dog shit on his bike. But no, it was my friend's human fecal matter. And I think that's the only way I can really end this video, is with the grossest thing possible. But you guys like that story?
Amazing story.
Hey man, me and my friends were fucked up. We did a lot of stupid stuff. And hopefully I can let you know more about that with the silly shit that I've done in my life and my friends. Maybe one day I'll do a retro game about Grand Theft Auto and tell you the "Where's My Teeth" story. But that'll be for a later date. Maybe one of these days. But I have to wrap things up. Do you guys want to say anything since you're here?
Nice story.
Yeah, and thanks for
Sharing.
yeah, for telling your audience about it.
No worries. And thank you guys. And thank you guys for watching. And expect more here on Human Bean Juice.